Welcome back to Creator Age.
Mm-hmm.
Today we are going to be taking a deep dive into something that I think is really essential for any creator.
Absolutely.
And that is excellence.
Oh, very important.
But don't worry, we're not going to be talking about perfection.
Right.
Who has time for that?
Nobody has time for that.
Really, what we're going to be exploring is
Yeah.
excellence as a mindset
I love that.
and a way of approaching your craft that can really help you level up your work,
Absolutely.
find more satisfaction, and even open some really cool new doors.
It's so interesting because excellence really isn't about reaching, that unattainable level of perfection. It's really more about that constant drive to grow and to learn, to push past what we consider ordinary.
So it's like always aiming for that next level instead of just settling for good enough.
Good enough, yeah. It's about that commitment to quality, to putting your best foot forward in everything you create. And honestly, there's a deep sense of satisfaction that comes with knowing you poured your heart and soul into it.
Absolutely. I think that resonates with me so much because as creators, we face so much noise and competition. I feel like excellence can be that thing that helps you stand out.
Right.
And gain that confidence and build a loyal audience.
Absolutely. It's like that beacon drawing people in.
Yeah.
And what I find so fascinating is that a really interesting element of excellence
Right.
is that it's often fueled by a strong sense of purpose. When you have a really clear why behind your work, it can unlock so much potential and drive you to achieve incredible things.
It's like having that internal compass that guides you.
It gives you direction, that extra push to keep going even when things get tough.
So as creators, how do we tap into that why? Sometimes it feels elusive.
It is a process of self-discovery.
Right.
And it involves asking yourself some tough questions.
Yeah.
What truly lights you up? What impact do you want to have with your work? What legacy do you want to leave behind?
Okay.
These questions can really help you uncover that driving force.
That's really powerful. And it reminds me of a conversation I had with a group of entrepreneurs who had this incredible perspective on failure. And they didn't see it as a setback.
Interesting.
They saw it as a crucial part of the journey toward excellence.
I love that.
And they actually had a name for it. They called them pre-successes.
Pre-successes.
Every stumble, every mistake was a step closer to getting it right.
Yeah. I love that reframing failure as a necessary stepping stone is such a powerful mindset shift. Instead of feeling defeated, you can approach each pre-success as a learning opportunity. What can I take away from this? How can I apply this to my next project?
I've seen this in action so many times, especially with creators who are pushing the boundaries and experimenting.
Right.
The ones who embrace those pre-successes often come up with some of the most innovative and groundbreaking work.
That willingness to experiment, to step outside your comfort zone, is essential for growth.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. If you're always playing it safe, you're never going to discover those hidden gems of creativity that lie just beyond the familiar.
So let's say you've embraced the learning process.
Okay.
You're fueled by your purpose. What's that next step?
Well, this is where the details come in.
Okay.
Excellence isn't just about the big picture. It's also about those small, meticulous touches that elevate your work to another level.
It's like they say, the devil's in the details.
The devil is in the details.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. It's about that laser focus on quality, on crafting each element of your creation with intention and care.
Right.
For a writer, it could be choosing the perfect word. To evoke a specific emotion for a musician, it could be fine-tuning the timing of a particular note. These seemingly small choices can have a huge impact on the overall impact of your work.
So how do you cultivate that laser focus?
Well, it starts with recognizing that excellence isn't something that just happens overnight.
Yeah.
It requires a conscious effort, a willingness to slow down, to pay attention, and to refine your craft continuously.
That makes sense. But for creators, we're constantly juggling multiple projects and deadlines.
Yeah.
How can we manage our time effectively to make space for those details.
That is a critical point.
Yeah.
It's not just about having time.
Right.
It's about using that time wisely.
Transforming regular time into moments of peak focus and flow.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's about being strategic and intentional. Think about when you're most productive and schedule your most important creative tasks during those periods.
So maybe blocking out time in your calendar.
Absolutely.
Turning off distractions.
Yes.
And creating that space where you can really immerse yourself in the work.
Exactly. It's about creating those pockets of focused energy.
Yeah.
Where you can tap into your creative flow and let the magic happen.
Love it.
And don't forget to take breaks, too.
Right.
Rest and rejuvenation are just as important as focused work.
Okay.
When it comes to cultivating excellence.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the importance of purpose, embracing the learning process, paying attention to detail, and managing our time effectively.
Right.
Sounds like a lot to juggle.
It is. And that brings us to a question that many creators grapple with.
Okay.
How do we avoid burnout?
Oh, that's a great point, and one that I think we definitely need to address.
Yeah.
Because I think burnout is a real danger for creators.
Right, yeah.
Especially when we're passionate about our work.
Yes.
And constantly pushing ourselves to do more.
It's about finding that balance between pushing yourself and knowing when to step back and recharge.
So how can we create that balance? What strategies can help creators avoid burnout while still pursuing their creative goals?
Well, one key strategy is to set boundaries. It's so easy to get caught up in the hustle and work around the clock, but honestly, that's a recipe for burnout.
Boundaries like setting specific work hours?
Yes.
Or limiting the number of projects you take on?
Exactly. It's about protecting your time and energy.
Okay.
So you can sustain your creative output in the long run.
Gotcha.
Another strategy is to prioritize self-care.
Self-care. I feel like that is such a buzzword these days.
It is.
But I think it's especially crucial for creators. What does that look like for you?
You know, it's different for everyone.
Yeah.
But for me, it's about making sure I'm getting enough sleep, eating nourishing foods, and moving my body regularly.
Right.
It's also about carving out time for activities that bring me joy and help me de-stress.
I love that, recognizing that you can't pour from an empty cup. You need to take care of yourself to be able to show up fully for your work.
Absolutely.
And I think that ties into another important aspect of avoiding burnout.
Okay.
And that is having a strong support system.
Absolutely. Yeah. Having a community of fellow creators, friends and family who understand the unique challenges you face can make a world of difference.
I think so too.
They can offer encouragement when you're feeling down. They can celebrate your wins.
Right.
And they can provide valuable feedback on your work.
It's like having a tribe of people who get it.
Yes.
Who can relate to the ups and downs of our creative journey.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of mentorship.
Oh, that's huge.
Finding someone who has already navigated the path you're on can be so valuable.
Right.
They can offer guidance, share their experiences, and help you avoid common pitfalls.
You know, it's so interesting because we've talked about the importance of purpose, learning from those failures.
Right.
Paying attention to detail. Managing time, effectively avoiding burnout. Building community.
Yeah.
It seems like all of these elements are interconnected.
They are.
Like threads in a tapestry that create the bigger picture of excellence.
You're absolutely right. They all work together, supporting and reinforcing each other.
And there's one more thread I kind of want to pull on.
Okay.
And something that I think is really crucial for achieving true excellence. And that is having the courage to be different.
Oh, that is such a powerful point.
Yeah.
Excellence often comes from thinking outside the box. Challenging conventional wisdom and daring to create something truly original.
Not being afraid to stand out.
Absolutely.
From the crowd.
Even if it means taking risks.
Right.
And potentially facing criticism.
Because let's be honest, not everyone's going to understand or appreciate your vision.
Right. But that's okay.
But that's okay. The creators who truly make a mark are often the ones who dare to break the mold.
It's about trusting your intuition, that inner voice.
That tells you what feels right, even if it doesn't fit the norm.
Yes. It's about silencing that inner critic that tries to hold you back.
Right.
And instead listening to that voice that says, go for it. Put your heart and soul into it, even if it's scary.
Because wouldn't you rather create something that's truly authentic and unique?
Absolutely.
Even if it's not perfect.
Yeah.
Than something that's safe and predictable, but ultimately forgettable.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
It's about embracing your individuality and letting that shine through in your work.
Right.
That's what makes it truly special.
Yeah.
and memorable.
So how do we cultivate that courage to be different? Is it something we're born with, or can it be learned?
I think it's a bit of both. Some people are naturally more inclined to take risks and challenge the status quo.
Right.
But I believe that courage is also a muscle that can be strengthened with practice.
So the more we step outside of our comfort zones,
Yes.
the more courageous we become.
Yeah, exactly. Each time you face a fear and do it anyway, you build your confidence and expand your capacity for courage.
And I think that ties back to what we were discussing earlier about embracing
Absolutely.
that learning process.
It's all interconnected.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great segue into something else we need to talk about.
Okay.
The importance of embracing feedback.
Feedback. Oh, that can be a tough one.
It can be.
For a lot of creators.
There's a lot of people.
Myself included.
Yeah.
How do we make sure we're getting valuable feedback and not just letting criticism get under our skin?
That's a really important distinction.
Yeah.
Not all feedback is created equal.
Right.
It's about being discerning and choosing to seek feedback from people who you trust and respect, people who understand your vision and want to see you succeed.
So maybe that means having a small group of beta readers.
Yeah.
If you're a writer, or sharing your music with fellow musicians.
Yes.
Whose opinions you value. Or getting feedback from a mentor who has experience in your field.
Absolutely. And it's important to remember that feedback is ultimately a gift.
Okay.
It's an opportunity to learn to grow and to refine your work, even if it's not always easy to hear.
Right.
It can help you see your work from a fresh perspective and identify areas for improvement.
I think a lot of creators struggle with taking feedback personally.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to something they've poured their heart and soul into.
It's understandable to feel a bit defensive when someone critiques your work, but it's important to remember that they're not criticizing you as a person.
Okay.
They're simply offering their perspective on your creation.
So it's about separating the work from the self.
Exactly. And it's about recognizing that even the most successful creators have received their fair share of criticism along the way.
Right.
It's part of the process.
It's interesting because we've talked about so many different facets of excellence, purpose learning from failures, attention to detail time management, avoiding burnout, community courage.
Right.
And now feedback, it's like each piece is a building block.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
It's like building a house. Each brick, each beam, each nail plays a role in creating a structure.
Right.
That's both beautiful and functional.
And just like a house needs that solid foundation to withstand the elements.
Yes.
Our creative work needs a solid foundation of excellence.
Yeah, absolutely.
To withstand the challenges and setbacks that inevitably come with the creative journey.
So true. And I think that's a great place to pause for a moment.
Okay.
And reflect on everything we've discussed so far.
Yes. Let's take a breath
to
let these insights sink in. We'll be back in the final part of our deep dive to explore how we can take all of this knowledge and put it into action to create truly extraordinary work. Welcome back to Creator Age. We've been on this awesome journey, exploring excellence in all its different dimensions.
It's been great.
And before we wrap up, I want to touch on something we talked about earlier.
Okay.
That courage to be different.
Oh, that's so important.
It's easy to get caught up in trends and compare ourselves to others.
Yes, it's so easy to fall into that trap.
And I feel like that can stifle our creativity.
Absolutely.
And prevent us from expressing our unique voices.
You know, your voice, your perspective, your story.
Right.
It's all valuable and worthy of being shared.
How do you break free from those comparisons and find that confidence?
It's a process.
Yeah.
One thing that can be really helpful is to surround yourself with people who support and encourage your unique vision.
Like find your tribe.
Yes. Find your tribe. Find your community of fellow creators
Good people
who celebrate your quirks and inspire you to be your authentic self.
That's so important to find those people who lift you up.
Absolutely.
Remind you it's okay to be different, to stand out, to break the mold.
And remember, excellence isn't about fitting in. It's about standing out. It's about bringing something new and fresh to the table.
I think a lot of creators, especially those just starting out, are afraid to put themselves out there.
Right.
For fear of judgment or rejection.
Yeah. That fear is totally understandable.
But if you're not willing to take risks and put yourself out there,
right,
are you ever really going to reach your full potential?
You'll never know.
How do you overcome that fear?
It starts with recognizing that rejection is a part of the process. Even the most successful creators have faced their fair share of setbacks and criticisms.
Right.
It's how you handle those rejections that really matters.
So resilience, picking yourself back up.
Exactly.
Trying again even when it feels tough.
Yes, and remembering that not everyone is going to resonate with your work.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Right. You're not creating for everyone.
You're creating for the people who connect with your vision.
It's about finding your audience.
Yes. Find your audience.
Yeah.
The people who get you, who appreciate your unique perspective.
And when you find those people, it makes all the difference.
It does.
Yeah.
Their support and encouragement can fuel your creativity.
Right.
Give you the courage to keep pushing those boundaries and striving for excellence.
This has been such an inspiring conversation.
It has.
As we wrap up our deep dive into excellence.
Yeah.
What are your final thoughts?
For me, excellence isn't about achieving some external measure of success or recognition. It's about the journey.
Yeah.
It's about that constant pursuit of growth, learning, and mastery.
The passion, the dedication, the unwavering commitment to bringing your best self to your work.
And having the courage to be true to yourself, to embrace your unique voice, and to create work that reflects your heart and soul.
Beautifully said. And to all our listeners out there, remember that excellence is within your reach.
It is.
It's not about perfection.
It's about progress.
It's about showing up every day and giving it your all, even when it feels challenging.
And most importantly, remember to enjoy the journey.
Yes.
Creating should be a joyful and fulfilling experience.
Right.
So make sure you're finding time to celebrate your wins, appreciate the process, and savor the satisfaction that comes from bringing something beautiful and meaningful into the world.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into excellence. We hope you've gained some valuable insights.
Yes.
And feel inspired to create something truly extraordinary.
Keep creating.
Until next time, keep creating and keep striving for excellence.